What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy, back again with another video. We just saw the ban list, and one of the most iconic rank 4s of all time just came off of it and went immediately to 3 from being at 0, Tellarknight Ptolemaeus. For those of you that don't know, this card was pretty good in the Pendulum format because it allowed you to make an Omni Negate in the form of Cyber Dragon Infinity off of any 3 level 4 monsters, which was a lot easier said than done when you're thinking about Pendulum decks, which can easily Pendulum out 3 level 4 monsters. And back in the day, you didn't have the restriction where you had to Pendulum summon from the extra deck to Link Zone, so you could just Pendulum summon 5 from your extra deck at any point in time. Needless to say, this card was soon banned. It was also used, I think, in the OCG to make Elder Entity Afterthought on your opponent's turn, which was equally as busted because it turned off all monster effects for the entire turn. Needless to say, this card is very infamous, and now that it's come off, I see a lot of players are scrambling to see how they can incorporate this into their decks, so I thought I'd make this video to quickly go over some of the things that this card can do. Obviously, it needs 2 or more level 4 monsters, so it can be made with 2 level 4 monsters. You put it in defense mode because it has 2600 defense. And then the effect. Once per chain during either player's turn, you can detach 3 XYZ materials from this card, special summon from your extra deck 1 XYZ monster that is 1 rank higher than this card, so any rank 5, except for a number monster, which there are a lot of rank 5 number monsters, so we'll exclude those immediately. By using this face-up card you control as an XYZ material. So essentially, you would detach, and then you would overlay the rank 5 on top of this. So it would be a rank 5 with 1 material. Keep that in mind. This is treated as an XYZ material. And then, let's see. XYZ materials attached to this card also become XYZ materials on the summoned monster. So obviously, if you use like 4 level 4s, and yeah, you detach 3, you'll have 2. So it'll have 2 materials. But generally, it's 3 because of the last effect. You can detach 7 materials from this card. Skip your opponent's next turn. Okay, this will probably never come up. Just ignore that. And then the last effect is during either player's end phase, you can attach 1 Tellarknight card from your extra deck to this card as a face-up XYZ material. So if we summon this with 2 rank 4 or 2 level 4 monsters, and then on our end phase, we can attach any other Tellarknight card from our extra deck, so it instantly has 3. So effectively, any 2 level 4s on your opponent's turn allows you to get a free rank 5 monster. So let's take a look at what our options are. First and foremost, actually, before we get into the rank 5s, there's something you need to know about the Tellarknights. They have a lot of cool XYZs that you can just overlay on top of others for free, essentially. And one of them is Tellarknight Constellar Diamond, which is a rank 5 2700 attack, 2k defense, which is pretty significant for a rank 5. Anyways, during your main phase 2, you can also XYZ summon this card by using a Tellarknight XYZ monster you control as XYZ material, except itself, obviously. And then while this card has XYZ material, neither player can send cards from the deck to the graveyard, and any card that returns from the graveyard to the hand is banished instead. So that's really relevant against tiers. Neither player can send cards from their deck to the graveyard. Neither player can mill cards. Okay, it turns off everything. And then during either player's turn, when an opponent's dark monster activates effect, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So it's insane anti-dark, okay? Essentially, this shuts off the milling effects, and on top of that, you can negate the effect of a bestial, of a tier effect, if they happen to get one engraved. It turns off a lot of things, and you can just overlay it on top of Ptolemaeus in your main phase 2 for free. So this instantly makes Ptolemaeus an anti-tier card, given that at any point except for turn 1, if you make this, during the main phase 2, you can actually overlay into Tellarknight Constellar Diamond, which is super, super clutch. On top of that, it also allows you to make a rank 4 material Zeus, because you'll have 2 materials under Ptolemaeus, plus the Tellarknight Diamond. That's 4 materials, which is pretty cool if you ask me. So yeah, now every deck that can make rank 4s has a pseudo floodgate in the form of Tellarknight Constellar Diamond against tier elements. The other card you can also play is Constellar Ptolemy M7. You can XYZ summon this card using a Constellar XYZ monster you control. And then once per turn, you can detach material from this card, then target a monster on the field or in either player's graveyard, return that target to the hand, but it cannot be used during the turn that you overlay it using a Constellar card. So this is pretty good. Again, you can hard cast this using 2 level 6 monsters. So any 2 bestial monsters can also make this instead of Beatrice. So you can return any card from your graveyard to your hand, or any monster rather, from your graveyard to your hand, or any monster on the field back to the hand. So you can recycle things like Havnus, you can get rid of opponent's monsters, on top of being able to overlay it on top of the Ptolemaeus. So it's these two, like Diamond and Ptolemy M7, are two cards that you can kind of play around with, you can kind of experiment with. These are some good options. The other card is, starting with rank 5s, Constellar Pleiades. This is probably like the go-to, probably one of the best cards that you could actually make at this point in time. Obviously, you can hard make it with 2 level 5 light monsters, but we can just use the effect of Ptolemaeus to summon this on our opponent's turn, and then it's a quick effect. You can attach material from this card, then target any card on the field, return it to the hand. Obviously, Dweller is our go-to for blind matchups because it's really good against the Tier Mirror, but against decks that are like non-tier decks, against like Sprite, against Flunder, Pleiades is probably a lot better. So this is potentially an option. I wouldn't say that every tier deck would immediately go and splash these cards in just because there's so many cards to at least splash in. Like, you're going to have to put Ptolemaeus, at least probably Diamond, and then if you put Pleiades, that's 3 cards, which I don't think the tier extra deck can afford to handle, especially since Dweller wasn't banned. There's nothing hidden in the extra deck, so the way the extra decks are shaping up to be right now, they're very tight. You would have to cut crucial cards, probably some tech cards like flex spots like Asa, so on and so forth, in order to even try and incorporate these, but who knows, we've seen Stranger Things, maybe it's something that could be incorporated. Again, it gives you a good rank 4 option to go into versus the rogue matchup that you know you're playing against. So Pleiades, obviously against Flunder, you can chain to their field spell, bounce the map back to hand, you can bounce any normal summon level 2 to the hand, so on and so forth. It's pretty good. Moving on, we have, again, Cyber Dragon Nova, Cyber Dragon Infinity. If you're playing a deck that allows you to easily get 3 level 4s on the field, for say like Pendulum, for example, you should probably be playing Cyber Dragon Infinity and Nova if you have the space to incorporate with Ptolemaeus, because you could just attach 3 on your turn, overlay for Nova, and then overlay for free Infinity, so it does give you an Omni Negate. I don't know if it's really worth it, especially nowadays that we have Link monsters. Bear in mind, in the past when this was popular, we didn't have Link monsters like IP Masquerena, which only requires 2 monsters instead of 3, so maybe this is not a good option, given that it also takes up to 4 flex spots in your extra deck, because you have to play Ptolemaeus, Nova, Infinity, and probably Diamond, because so you have that option to go into. So that's already like 4 slots dedicated to basically one line of play, maybe 2 with the Diamond. So it is an option, though, of course. Then moving on, we have some of the ones that are lower power level. We have Tyrus, Keeper of Genesis, and Adrius, Keeper of Armageddon. Obviously, these are not very good because, again, they do little on your opponent's turn. Tyrus, maybe it's good against like a board wipe, something like Raigeki. You could chain and then summon Tyrus because it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. It just stays on the board. But again, these cards are very underwhelming. They're from a previous generation of Yu-Gi-Oh! When XYZs first came out, but they do have the removal effect. So obviously, Tyrus being able to target one card your opponent controls to destroy at the end of the battle phase that it attacks. And then Adrius, you can detach to destroy a face-up card your opponent controls. They're okay, but obviously I think there are a lot better options. If you are happening to play like some kind of stun deck, maybe this could be put into your extra deck just in the offhand chance that you do have to get rid of something in the main phase 1 and you have 4 level 4 monsters. Moving on, we have Super Quantum Mech Beast Magna Liger, 2600 attack. You can detach the material from this card, target a monster on the field, destroy it. It can destroy face down monsters as well. So again, if you do have to get rid of something using 3 level 4s, it's an option. It's not great, but it is an option. We also have Artifact Urine, though. This is one that could potentially be on some players' radar because of the fact, once return quick effect, you can activate one of these effects. When a monster effect is activated on the field or a normal spell or trap card is activated, you can attach the material from this card. The activated effect becomes destroy one trap or spell your opponent controls. So essentially it's an Omni Negate in that it changes the effect of your opponent's card effect to destroy a spell or trap that you control. So it's not bad. Then the other effect that's a little more relevant is you can attach a material from this card. Each player with a hand shuffles their entire hand into the deck and then draws the same number of cards that they shuffled into the deck. It's a quick effect, obviously. So this paired with Drone Lockford could be really, really devastating, given that it works the exact same way as Trickstar Reincarnation. So you would go during your opponent's turn after they draw. Since it's a quick effect, we can activate it immediately if they have pass priority. We can go Chainlink 1, Durando, and then Chainlink 2, Drone Lockford. Because Drone Lockford would resolve, chains resolve backwards, Durando will shuffle back all of the cards in your opponent's hand to the deck, including yours as well. And then they don't draw because Drone Lockford prevents that. So it is a way to get the Drone Lockbird locked back into the game. It's kind of unique with the Ptolemy line there. So that's definitely something that you could consider playing in your deck if you do happen to play a lot of link 4s or rank level 4s. Moving on, we have Arc Rebellion, XYZ Dragon. This card, XYZ summon card, cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then you can detach one material from this card. This card gains attack equal to the total original attack of all other monsters on the field. Then, if this card has a dark XYZ material, negate the effects of all other face-up monsters on the field. After this card resolves, you cannot declare attacks with other cards for the rest of the turn except this one. So essentially, obviously, it's not going to have a dark XYZ material because Ptolemaeus is a light. So what this card is going to do is allow you to facilitate OTKs. If there's like a really convoluted board state, maybe this card could gain like up to 10,000, 20,000 attack, and you could just attack with him for a game shot. This is an option. Obviously, you would need 3 level 4s to make them, but again, it's another option. Then moving on to some of the more random ones. Crimson Knight Vampire Bram. You can attach the material from this card, target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special that target to your field, but only that target can attack for the rest of the turn. And then during the standby phase, this card is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard. You can special summon it in defense mode. So yeah, it's like a 3 level 4s, but essentially give you the Monster Reborn effect during your turn. So maybe there's a deck that can just spam level 4s. This could be something that Ptolemaeus could go box into. Nash Knight, this is one of the new cards that came out with the Shark Pack. Cannot be destroyed by battle while a number of monsters on the field. During the main phase, quick effect, you can attach 2 materials from this card. Attach 1 number XYZ material from your extra deck that has number between 101 and 107 in its name. Then you can attach one other face-up monster on the field to this card as material. So, now that I read this is not that good at all, is because you do have to attach 2 materials. And when Ptolemaeus has 3 materials, well, 2 materials. So yeah, you would have to make Ptolemaeus with 3 materials on your turn, then end phase attach 1 on their turn to attach 3, so you have 2, so you make Nash Knight. So this is actually really bad, probably unplayable. I'm just gonna ignore that one. Raid Raptor Blaze Falcon. This card can attack directly while it has XYZ material. 1,000 attack, could be relevant during time. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and then once per turn, you can detach 1 XYZ from this card, destroy as many special summon monsters your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, inflict 500 to your opponent for each monster destroyed. So this is pretty good in that any 3 level 4s could essentially be a Raigeki that could also burn for a lot of damage during time, on top of being able to attack directly. I think this card is actually decent. It could be playable if there's a Ptolemy rank toolbox deck. And then another Raid Raptor, Stranger Falcon, the last card. If this card has XYZ material, is XYZ monster is XYZ material, gains this effect. Once per turn, you can detach the material from this card, then target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to this original attack. So this is essentially a Vocosaurus. Again, we cannot summon Vocosaurus off of Ptolemaeus because it is a number card, and Ptolemaeus can only do non-number rank 5s. So, Stranger Falcon is essentially a replacement because it does function, given that we'll always have Ptolemaeus as a material underneath them, so we can detach the Ptolemaeus to pop a monster your opponent controls and then burn them for damage equal to its attack. So yeah, these are some fun time cards, I guess. Yeah, anyways, there are some other rank 5s as well that were not really relevant, so I didn't include them in this video. Definitely see what you guys can make. If you guys have any other suggestions on how Ptolemaeus can be really good in a deck, just let me know in the comments below. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.